ICSE Class 10 MCQ examination, last minute revision. I'm sure you have already finished revising all the chapters. For the examination, we have 7 chapters for semester 1 examination. A quick summary of the number of chapters that you are having. Your first chapter is force. Second chapter is work, energy and power. Third is machines. Fourth one is refraction of light through plane surfaces. Chapter number 5 is refraction through a lens. Chapter number 6 is spectrum. And chapter number 7 is sound. So let us quickly get a review of each one of these chapters and how to solve the MCQs based on them. Look at the points that we have to remember. Number 1, learn all the definitions. Number 2, learn all the units, the SI units, the CGS units, and learn to convert them from one to the other, like SI into CGS, CGS into SI. You should be very well versed with that. Number 3, learn all the formulas. Number 4, learn all the factors on which the physical quantities depend. Like for example, if I am talking about a refractive index depends upon the speed of light in vacuum and in the given medium, and so it is inversely proportional to the speed of light in the medium. So you need to know all the factors, whether it is in terms of wavelength or whether it is in terms of sin I, sin R. You should know all the factors on which the quantity depends. Number 5 is give reasons. Although it is MCQ, they will ask you so and so happens because, and they'll give you a variety of reasons. Alright, and the last one now is the numericals. Now numericals also you know, and along with the give reasons, you should also have the objective questions. The objective questions are name the wavelength that is used for detecting fractures in bones and teeth, for example. So give reasons and your objective questions, they go together. Okay, first chapter, that is force. We have translational motion and rotational motion. Know the difference between the two. Translational motion is when a force is applied and the body continues to be moving in a straight path, whereas rotational motion is where the body is pivoted. What does it mean by pivoted? So if you have a body like this and it is fixed over here at this point, so this is called the pivot, and if I apply the force over here, then the force, the line of action of force is like this, and the perpendicular distance of this line of action of force from this axis of rotation, if this distance is more, then it is going to have more rotation. So you know that when the force is applied, it is going to start rotating in this way. The rotation depends upon the distance which is from here to here. What is this distance called? This is called as the perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation. So this is the distance of this line from this axis. This is the perpendicular distance. More the distance, more the rotation, less the distance, less the rotation. So we have the formula now of moment of force. The moment of force means the turning effect, and this is also called as torque. And it depends upon the force into perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation, which means it is directly proportional to the force. More the force, more will be the rotation, more will be the turning effect, and more is this perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation, then again we are going to have more turning effect. Alright, now here classic example that will be given to you is when you have the body pivoted over here and we have number of forces acting. Let us say this is force A. Let us say this is 3 newtons. Alright, and this is the line of action of force this way. Now the perpendicular distance from this, let us call this pivot as O. Let us say this is 2 meter. Okay, then let us have another force acting this way. Let us call this as B. you can produce this line of action of force this way, and you will get this becomes the perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation. Let us say this is 3 meter and let us say this is 1 Newton. All right, let us have another force over here. Let us call this force as force C, and this again you will have the line of action of force this way, and then you will have the perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation. Let us say that this is 1.5 meter, and let us say this one is 2 Newton. Okay, let us take another force over here. Let us take force D, which is this way, and from here to here this one is, let us say, 4 meter. This is the perpendicular distance, and let us say this one is 5 Newton, this force D. So you will see here A is going to act along this direction, so it is going to make it rotate this way, which means clockwise. This one is going to make it rotate this way, so it is going to rotate this way, again clockwise. So you will have A and C giving clockwise rotation, and your B is going to make it rotate this way, so that is anti-clockwise, and D is also going to rotate this way. So your B and D, they are going to rotate it anti-clockwise. Now they can ask you which force is causing the least moment and which is causing the most moment. So for each one of them, you will have to find out. For A, the moment is going to be the force multiplied by this. So that is 3 Newton into 2 meter, which is 6 Newton meter, and this is clockwise. Moment of C will be 2 Newton multiplied by 1.5 meter, that is going to be 3 Newton meter. And this is going to give us the total clockwise moment. So total clockwise moment will be 6 plus 3, that is 9 Newton meter. For our B, which is anti-clockwise, it will be force into this perpendicular distance. So it is 1 Newton multiplied by 3 meter. So that will be 3 Newton meter. And for D, it is 5 Newton multiplied by its perpendicular distance is here. This is 4 meter. So that will be 20 Newton meter. Okay, so this is going to give us total anti-clockwise 20 plus 3, that is going to give us 23 Newton meter, which is anti-clockwise. So what will be the resultant? 23 minus 9, which is equal to 14 Newton meter. And the direction will be, because the bigger number here is the anti-clockwise moment, it is going to be anti-clockwise. So what are the questions that can be asked? The least moment from here, we cannot be given that because both of them are 3 and 3. Supposing I had kept over here 1 meter, then this would have been 2 Newton meter, and so I would have had C having the least moment. Which force is having the maximum moment? This one. It is 20 Newton meter anti-clockwise. Alright, so these are some of the questions that can come on this. This diagram is important. You have to pay attention to this. The other questions that can be asked is if I have the door. Now, you know the give reason, which is handle is provided. Where is it provided? At the edge of the door, correct? So they will ask you, why is the handle provided at the edge? So they will ask you a question, the handle of the door is provided at the edge because, and the correct option will be to provide the least force to open or close the door. Because if it is at the edge, they can also say to increase the perpendicular distance of the line of action of force from the axis of rotation. So if they call you this as option number 1, option number 2, and option number 3 will be something else, maybe to provide maximum force or whatever, and option number 4 will be saying both 1 and 2, then this and this, both of them are applicable for this. Alright, so think very carefully why. So that is why learn all the give reasons, and that is going to guide you to answer your MCQs correctly. Then we come to moment of a couple. Now what is a couple? Couple is two equal and opposite parallel forces which do not have the same line of action. Which means if I have a body like this and we have one force this way, let us say force A, and another force is this way, and they are having the same line of action. If there is same line of action, then you cannot have rotation taking place. They need to have one force this way and another force this way. They will not have the same line of action. Okay, so that constitutes the couple. So let us say this is 5 Newton and this one also is 5 Newton, and they are separated by 2 meters distance. Then the moment of this couple will be either force, means it will be 5 Newton multiplied by this distance between them. This distance is also called as the couple arm. So that will be 5 into 2, which is 10 Newton meter. Now, if they ask you for MCQ, what is the SI unit of moment of couple? Moment of couple, remember, it is the force multiplied by the perpendicular distance. So it will be 5 Newton into 2 meter. Look at the unit, Newton and meter. So you will have Newton into meter. That becomes the SI unit of moment of couple. Okay, but if they ask you only couple, then what will be the SI unit of couple? Couple means they are the forces. So if they are the forces, forces will have this as the SI unit. So remember, moment of couple, the SI unit, and the couple, SI unit. Alright, know the difference between them. Static equilibrium and dynamic equilibrium, here know the definitions by heart, because they can ask you 2-3 conditions. They will be given as a separate conditions, and then they will ask you option number 1 or 1 and 2, 2 and 3, like that. So know all the conditions for this by heart. These also give a very good MCQ question. This brings us to the principle of moments, again an important principle. Sum of clockwise moments is equal to sum of anti-clockwise moments. Now here you will be given classic examples of different situations of a meter rule. So let us just take one or two quickly. So this is a first question for this. We have a uniform meter ruler. This is 0 centimeter, this is 100 centimeter, and at 15 centimeter it is pivoted with a 42 GF suspended from 0 centimeter. The meter rule is balanced. They are saying that if the meter ruler is balanced, then find the weight or the mass of the ruler. Where is the weight of the ruler acting from? It will act from the center of gravity, which is 50 centimeter. So we will have from here to here, this will be, let us say, mgf. This will be acting vertically downwards from here, providing the clockwise moment. And then this has to be balanced by the anti-clockwise moment. So if you call this as W1, if you call this as W2, then your L1 becomes the distance between this force and the fulcrum. So we have 15 minus 0, that is 15 centimeter, and this is your L2. So your L2 is going to be 50 minus 50, which is 35 centimeter. And then we will use the principle of moment, and we will have W1 L1 when it is balanced equals to W2 L2, that is this force multiplied by this distance, that is W1 L1. So this will be your anti-clockwise moment, will be equal to the clockwise moment. Now we will just substitute the values and you will have mgf into 35. So our m is going to be 42 into 15 upon 35. Now 5 3s and 5 7s, 7 1s and 7. So you will get 18 GF. What is this? This is the weight of the ruler. What will be the mass of the ruler? mass of the ruler will be 18 g. So this will be a 2-mark question, 1 mark for writing the weight of the ruler, and the second mark will be for writing the mass of the ruler. And they might give you different options. As long as you do your correct step, don't worry about what the other options will be. For numericals, that's the easiest. Just solve it properly, then you can choose the correct option. Okay, so let us take another example of principle of moment. We have 3 rods which are pivoted at their centers, which means it doesn't matter what is this end point and this end point. It doesn't really matter which rod rotates anti-clockwise. Now here you will see this is going to be anti-clockwise, this is going to be clockwise. So if you look at the anti-clockwise, it will be this multiplied by this, that is W1 L1, that will give us 1.6 Newton meter, and that will be anti-clockwise. Whereas this side it will be 8 into 0.1, that is 0.8 Newton meter, and that is going to be clockwise. So anti-clockwise moment will be this A diagram, where it will be 1.6 Newton meter minus 0.8 Newton meter, which is 0.8 Newton meter anti-clockwise. So A option. Now let us see. Sometimes they can ask you A, B, or B, C, or only A and B, or A and B but not C. Sometimes they will ask you options like that. So let us look at this one. This is going to be 4 force 16 Newton meter, and that will be your anti-clockwise, and here it will be 8 to 16 Newton meter, and that will be clockwise. So this is in equilibrium. This is going to be balanced because clockwise and anti-clockwise, they are equal. In this case, your anti-clockwise will be 2.5 into 2, that is 5 Newton meter, that is anti-clockwise, and here it will be 6 Newton meter, and this is going to be clockwise. So here the resultant is going to be 6 minus 5 Newton meter, which will be 1 Newton meter, and it will be clockwise. Now in these 3 diagrams, you can have 3 different types of questions. They can either ask you which one is going to rotate anti-clockwise, which is what I asked you, or which one is going to be in equilibrium, then in that case it will be B. And if they ask you which one is having a clockwise rotation, then it will be this one. Okay, because it is going to be 1 Newton meter clockwise. Now if you want more questions about our portion, click the link below so that you can access the MCQ question papers which are solved just right for you to go through before your examination. Alright, so let us move on to the next chapter, which is work, power, energy. Now in work, energy and power, your basic definition of work is important. You must know the formula Fs cos theta. You must also know when the work is going to be positive, when it is going to be negative, and when it is going to be zero. Alright, so when it is zero, remember either force is zero or the displacement is zero or cos theta is equal to 0, which means your theta is going to be 90 degrees. Which means if the force is like this and the displacement is at right angles, the theta will be 90 degrees, and remember the cos of 90 degrees is equal to 0. So your work, which is Fs cos theta, which is going to be Fs into cos 90, which is 0, and that will be 0 joules. So this is a little tricky part. Know the different cases where the work is positive and negative, and always remember which force is doing the work, and accordingly you have to see whether the displacement is in the direction of the force or at an angle with the force, or it is perpendicular to the force. Alright, so you have to be careful about that. Now in case of energy, for your energy we have different types of energy. The basic ones are your mechanical energy, which will be consisting of potential energy and kinetic energy. Know the formula, that is mgh, and also kinetic energy is half mv square. Okay, and then you also need to know the relationship between momentum, which is under root 2 mk. This also is an important relationship. We'll have therefore P square will be equal to 2 mk. K is the kinetic energy, P is the momentum, So your kinetic energy is going to be P square upon 2m. And this is going to lead you to the questions where you have a light mass and you have a heavier mass, and both of them have the same momentum. Which one will have more kinetic energy? So you will see if P square is the same, that means momentum is the same, your kinetic energy is going to be inversely proportional to the mass. All right, so you can have the small mass will have more kinetic energy, the lighter mass will have more kinetic energy, heavier mass will have less kinetic energy, and the ratios of their kinetic energies and momentum, those ones also are very popular questions, so please prepare those questions. Okay, next we come to the energy conversion, so different forms of energy. So you will have to go through all the appliances. Your textbook will have the list of appliances, and then we'll have the interconversion of energies, and that is important. They are good objective questions and good MCQs. Also know the difference between where it is gravitational potential energy and the elastic potential energy. How elastic energy and gravitational potential energy, how they are converted into kinetic energy before they are put to use. Also, you should know when you have a body which is at a height, when it is traveling like this while it is falling down, you will have the potential energy over here, maximum, that is mgh. At point C, when it falls, it is going to be potential energy 0 and kinetic energy is going to be maximum. And you already have this if it has traveled through the distance x, and if the total height has been h, then at B the height is going to be your h minus x. And when we are proving that the total mechanical energy, that is potential energy plus kinetic energy, always is constant, those calculations are important. Please go through that. You can be asked good questions based on this. Let us look at the classic question which is based on this work energy chapter. How does the kinetic energy change if the mass is doubled? So in your working, you will have case 1 and case 2, and your kinetic energy 1 is to kinetic energy 2. This is the ratio we have to find. Now in case 1, let us say we have mass m1 equal to m. Then the mass is doubled, so our m2 is equal to 2m, and the velocity, if it is v1 initially, we call it as v, then the velocity in the second case becomes 1/5. So it becomes 1/5 multiplied by v, so it becomes v upon 5. Now you know that kinetic energy is half mv square. So your kinetic energy 1 is to kinetic energy 2 is going to be half m1 v1 square is to half m2 v2 square. Half gets cancelled, and if you substitute, you will have m into v square, and now substitute m2 as 2m multiplied by velocity is going to be v upon 5 whole square. So you will have m and m getting cancelled, so you'll have v square is equal to 2 multiplied by v square upon 25. Now if we continue with this, you will have v square 2v square upon 25, v square getting cancelled, you will have 1 is to 2 upon 25, so that gives us 25 is to 2. Now look at your kinetic energy 1 is to kinetic energy 2 is going to be 25 upon 2. So your kinetic energy 2, which means this comes here and this goes that side, so it becomes ke1 multiplied by 2 upon 25. So you will see that kinetic energy becomes 2/25 of the original. Prepare the questions based on this. These are very popular questions. If you want the rest of the questions, click on the link below where you will see there are MCQ papers solved and you can get it just before your examination today itself, click the link below. In chapter number 3, machines, as I have told you, learn all the definitions and the relationships between the different quantities. Like for example, if I say MA is load upon effort, then decreasing effort will increase the mechanical advantage and vice versa. Velocity ratio is displacement of effort upon displacement of load. So displacement of load will decrease as velocity ratio increases. And remember, your ideal machine will have MA equal to VR, and therefore your efficiency is going to be 100%. In a practical machine, your efficiency is going to be less than 100%. Now efficiency is equal to MA upon VR, and so MA upon VR becomes less than 100%, means 100 upon 100, which means MA upon VR is less than 1. Cross multiply, your MA is going to be always less than VR. So remember, as the efficiency increases or decreases, velocity ratio remains the same, but mechanical advantage will get affected. Alright, which quantity remains constant, which quantity changes? So they'll give you efficiency, MA and VR. Remember, VR remains constant because the displacement of effort and displacement of load, that is unaffected, but MA and efficiency, they are affected because of the force of friction, mostly between the pulley bearings, between the rope and the pulley, etc. You know all the reasons why the efficiency becomes less. Why efficiency is less than 100%? This is an important give reason. This also forms a good MCQ. Learn the reasons why efficiency is less than 100% in a practical machine. That is an important question. Again, I'm telling you, if you want more MCQs for practice, click the link below. There are papers which are solved for you, and you will see how to solve and how to tackle, what are the tricks and tips for the solving of physics MCQ paper. Click the link below. Now let us come to the next part over here, where we will have the work input and work output. Sometimes the children do get confused over here. Work output will be when the load is lifted, so it will be load into displacement of load. Why? Because work is force into displacement. Remember that. Work input means the work is done on the machine, which means it's the effort that is working on the machine. So effort into displacement of effort, that is your work input, that is your work input and work output. And then we'll have efficiency, which is also defined as work output upon work input. And remember, this work output can never be more than work input. So this efficiency maximum can be equal to 1, or it will be always, for practical machine, it will be less than 1. So remember, efficiency is always less than or equal to 1, or you can say less than or equal to 100%. So you can have the option, efficiency can be 100%, less than 100%, greater than 100%, all of these three, or none of these three. Okay, so here there will be two options which will be correct. It is less than 100%, yes, possible, and it is less than 100%, yes, that is also the correct option. So you will be writing both 1 and 2, or whatever the choices are for you. Next we come to pulleys, the pulley system. So first we have the single fixed pulley, and then we have the single movable pulley. You can be asked MCQs on the definitions, and also you can be asked questions on their mechanical advantages, and also the velocity ratios, and also the effort that can be used. For now, single fixed pulley, MA is going to be 1, VR is going to be 1, because the load and effort, they travel the same distance at the same time, and the effort is going to be equal to load for ideal situation. But in a practical situation, your effort is going to be less than load. For movable pulley, mechanical advantage is 2, velocity ratio is 2, and the effort is going to be half of the load. Why? Because you have MA equal to load upon effort. Therefore, 2 is equal to load upon effort. So your effort will be equal to load upon 2. So remember, the value of effort is half of the load. So you have to know now. These ones also form very good MCQs. Next we come to the pulley system. So where we have block and tackle system. In block and tackle system, remember your VR, that is velocity ratio, is going to be equal to number of pulleys, which is equal to number of strands. Correct? So these three quantities are equal. So if they tell you there is a pulley system where the total number of pulleys are 5, then they will ask you in the upper block how many, and in the lower block there would be how many pulleys. So remember, 3 plus 2, like that we will have the distribution of pulleys, and then we will have the number of strands also is going to be 5, and velocity ratio also is going to be 5. Now they can give you the efficiency of that pulley system. Let us say the pulley system has efficiency 60%. Immediately you should be able to connect it. Efficiency means MA upon VR, and efficiency is 60 upon 100. So that will be equal to MA upon VR is 5. So if you calculate properly, 6 5 30 upon 10, so mechanical advantage becomes 3. Now in addition to that, they can ask you another question. The value of effort is how much if a load of, let us take 3600 Newton, this is being lifted. So if it is lifted, remember your load upon effort is mechanical advantage. Therefore 3 is equal to 3600, which is load upon effort. So your effort is going to be 3600 divided by 3. So that will be 1200 Newton. Now from all the options that will give you, be very careful. Sometimes they will trick you. Instead of the option for effort 1200 Newton, they might just give you joule, and the other option will be 1200 Newton. And you'll look at 1200 and you will choose that, but this is joule, so you will get it wrong. Be careful. Take care. Again, I'm telling you, if you need more help and more practice, click the link below. You have the MCQ papers solved, available for your revision. Okay, let's move on to the next part. In our next chapter, refraction through plane surfaces. Remember, refraction is the bending of light when it travels from one medium to another. Why? Because the velocity changes. Why does it do that? Because optical density changes, which means the refractive index changes. So you need to know what are the different quantities by which you can express this mu. So your first one is going to be sin I upon sin R. Then you're going to have C upon V. Then it's going to have original lambda upon the lambda in the medium. Okay, so I'll just say lambda in air. Okay, and this velocity in medium. So if you have 1 mu2, then it is going to be V1 upon V2. And if it is to be expressed in the form of refractive indices, then it will be mu2 upon mu1. You also know that A mu B is going to be 1 upon B mu A. They will ask you, what does this formula represent? Which property of light does it represent? So this is going to be reversibility of light. So learn all the formulas thoroughly, and also the ray diagrams. The ray diagrams are extremely important. For the plane surfaces, you will have a diagram like this. There will be a rectangular glass slab like this. So we have air and this is glass. So we'll have the ray of light entering into the glass. So you will have it turning towards the normal. Then again you will have different options at this point. Is it turning towards the normal, away from the normal, at right angles, etc. Okay, then this angle of incidence is going to be greater than R. Is it going to be equal to R? Is it going to be less than R? So these are some of the options that can be given over here. Then again, which angles are equal? Is angle I equal to angle R here? Or angle of incidence, is it equal to angle of emergence? So you will have this and this, they are going to be parallel to each other. So you will have this angle and this angle, they are going to be equal to each other. So you need to know these things. Plus, what is this? They might give you the diagram and they will write over here, this one is X, and they will say, what is this X? So X will be lateral displacement. I'm just writing lateral displacement like so. Then you need the factors. What happens to the lateral displacement if the angle of incidence is increased, if the refractive index is increased, or the color or wavelength is increased, or the thickness of the glass slab, if it is increased, then what is going to happen? So you need to know these. Each one of these make a good MCQ question. Again, I'm telling you, if you want more practice, click the link below. I have MCQ papers solved in that link for your better performance in the examination. If you want to get full marks or increase your marks, you can click the link below. Okay. When it comes to refraction through a glass prism, you will have the basic diagram like this of the prism, and when we have a monochromatic ray of light, you know that it is going to deviate this way and deviate this way, and then this will be the angle of deviation. Again, angle of deviation delta. What is minimum angle of deviation? What are the factors? If you know that well, you'll be able to answer the MCQs based on that. Then we have applications over here where we have the isosceles right prism, where each of these equal angles is 45 degrees, this being 90. So if the ray is incident at surface AB like this, it will go undeviated this way, and then at surface AC, this is the angle of incidence, this is 45 degrees, so this becomes 45 degrees angle, which is critical angle. The critical angle of glass is 42 degrees, and so you will see 45 degrees is greater than 42 degrees, so total internal reflection takes place. So this becomes 45 degrees, this will be 45 degrees, this will be 90 in this triangle, and it will emerge this way. Now you will see the deviation caused in the ray of light is 45 plus 45, which is 90. If it is the case like this, where we have the ray entering at 90 degrees at surface AB, then the angle of incidence at surface AB is going to be 45 degrees, and then this 45 degrees is going to be greater than 42 degrees, so it is going to turn back in the same medium, total internal reflection taking place. This also becomes 45, this is 45, this is 90, this is 45. Draw the normal over here, it is going from denser to rarer medium. This is 45, again this is going to be greater than 42 degrees, so it will get reflected in the same medium, so you will have total internal reflection taking place. This is 45, this is 45, this is 45, this is 90, and it will emerge undeviated. What is the total deviation? Here 90 degrees and here 90 degrees, so we have 180 degrees as the deviation produced in the ray of light. Here it is 90 degrees out here. And also you need to understand which are the devices which are using this diagram. Alright, learn that by heart. Those ones also are good MCQ questions. We come to the next one where it is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees, 30, 60, 90 prism. The ray incident normally goes undeviated like this. Now you'll see this is 90 degrees, so this will be 30 degrees. This ray is going from denser to rarer, so you draw the normal, and this angle becomes 60 degrees, and then you'll have total internal reflection taking place, and this is going to be again incident on the glass air surface. And then again, if you draw the normal, this angle is going to be 30 degrees, this angle is going to be 60 degrees, this angle is going to be 30 degrees, and this 30 degrees is less than 42 degrees, so there will be no total internal reflection taking place. So if it had to go like this, it will turn away from the normal, and this angle is going to be greater than 30 degrees. Alright, so this is the complete diagram. Now they can ask you what is the angle of incidence at this surface. Angle of incidence here is 0 degrees. What is the angle of incidence at this surface? It is 60 degrees. What is the deviation in the path of ray at BC? Deviation in the path of ray is going to be 60 plus 60, that is 120 degrees. What is the measure of the angle of emergence? Equal to 30 degrees, less than 30 degrees, greater than 30 degrees, 90 degrees, whatever they will ask you. So here again, if you draw this diagram yourself on your paper, you will be able to answer it properly. Okay, so this is the gist of refraction through the glass prism, the different diagrams that you have to learn. Again, if you want more practice, click the link below. That is your chance to get your full marks in your MCQ paper tomorrow. Okay, the next chapter we have is refraction through lenses. This is the last bit of our refraction, and in the lenses you'll have your convex lenses and the concave lenses, and you must know the image formation. Image formation, just learn everything properly and also know the image positions for the corresponding object positions, and also you need to know the image characteristics. Alright, so when image will be real and magnified? Will it be convex lens or concave lens? Where the object will be placed? Prepare these questions. When it will be virtual and magnified, will it be the concave lens or convex lens? If it is virtual, but if it is diminished, which one of the lenses will it be? Will it be concave or convex? Where the object should be placed, where the object position should be there. All these things are important things, and after that you need to also know what is magnification. Magnification is height of the image upon height of the object, and also it is the image distance upon the object distance. Now you need to know also your sign convention. Now sign convention also prepare well, and if you want more practice, click on the link below so that you will have access to my solved papers of MCQ. That will be your one chance of improving your marks and to get your full marks in tomorrow's examination. Alright, the next chapter is spectrum. It is basically to learn everything by heart. First thing is you have to know which are the components of the electromagnetic spectrum, and you have to know all these wavelengths by heart. Look at the pattern, understand how to remember them, and if you go from radio waves upwards, then you will see that the wavelength is decreasing and frequency is going to be increasing, because remember V is equal to F lambda, and V is going to be 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and so if it is V is equal to F1 lambda 1, it will be also equal to F2 lambda 2, and therefore you will have F1 upon F2 is going to be lambda 2 upon lambda 1. Okay, so if you know this, you will understand that the frequency and the wavelength, they are inversely proportional. So you got to remember these things and also learn all the uses of this and also how they are detected. These become good MCQ questions. So remember uses, detection, and also the give reasons why gamma rays are used in checking the welding, or why X-rays are used for checking the fracture in bones and teeth. Alright, so all these give reasons that are there, they are also going to be incorporated in the MCQs. Revise everything well. Okay, we now come to our last chapter for MCQ semester 1 examination portion, and sound, beginning with transverse and longitudinal waves. Please learn all the characteristics and also know the pattern. You must know how is the motion of the particles compared to the motion of the wave, and which are the media through which each one of them can pass through. Alright, so all these are important questions, and also you should know the differences between them. That forms a good MCQ question also. Then we have the differences between the light waves and the sound waves. How are they different from each other? Prepare the differences. So the differences, they will say light wave is different from sound waves because, and then you will be given the options. So know the differences. Sometimes there will be more than one option. So not just option 1, option 2 or option 3, but sometimes it will be all of the above. So be very careful before you choose the correct option. All right. The next part, we talk about the echo. What is echo? The definition of it. What are the conditions? Remember the 3 conditions. You have to know these for the objective questions. Then we have some of the numericals that are based on echo. So I'm going to solve one question here with you. So our question reads, a person standing at a distance x in front of a cliff fires a gun. Another person B standing behind A at a distance y from the cliff hears 2 sounds of the fired shot. After 2 seconds and after 3 seconds respectively, calculate x and y if the velocity of sound in air is 320 meter per second. So you will see there are 2 guys. This is A and this is B, and A is firing the gun and B hears 2 sounds. The first sound will be because of this distance from here to here, that is the direct sound, and the time taken for that is 2 seconds. So we will have the first one will be the direct sound, and for that we will say V is equal to d1 upon t1. Therefore V is 320 meter per second, and the distance between A and B is, if A is x meters away from the cliff and B is y meters away from the cliff, then the distance between A and B, this much, will be this larger distance minus the smaller distance, that is going to be y minus x upon the time taken for the first sound is 2 seconds. So we will have y minus x will be equal to 640 meter. That is our equation 1. 320 into 2 gives us 640. Now the second is because of the echo. The second sound that is heard is because of the echo. So here again we'll have V. Now normally for echo we use the formula 2D upon T. But here you see A fires the gun and the sound goes this way, and then it goes reflecting, it goes to B, which means the distance is not 2D upon T, it is this much x and plus this much. So it will be x plus y and that upon T2. So that will give us 320 is equal to x plus y upon T2 is 3 seconds. Cross multiply and you will get x plus y equal to 960. That is our equation 2, and then you will have this x getting cancelled and you will have 2y equal to 1600. So y is equal to 800 meter. Now substitute y equal to 800 in x plus y equal to 960, and then you will have x plus 800 is equal to 960, and your x will be equal to 960 minus 800, that is 160 meters. We have found the value of x, we have found the value of y, and we have understood that here to get this equation 1 they can give you 1 mark, to get this equation 2 you can get the second mark, then to get the value of y you will get the third mark, and value of x you will get, that is your fourth mark. So you will see that this becomes a 4 mark question. Alright, so we have finished practically each and every topic that is required for your SEM 1 examination. Please study well, and once again for the last time, click the link below if you want to get the papers which are solved for you, the MCQ papers, so that you can get your full marks and you can maximize your effort. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, and all the best for tomorrow. Bye.